wanted to do a quick talk about the thumb post splint that was on the poster. I have two previous patterns I use with patients depending on kind of how big. This guy had this patient had short fingers, but he was kind of large hands, large arm, but kind of short and stocky. And there's one that's a little longer and slimmer. The general pattern kind of looks like a wine bottle, at least that version. This is shrunken up. I would measure from their index fingertip down to about 2/3 of their forearm, and then get the width about half width of the forearm, half the width of the finger, so we can cup it nicely. And then I go through and mark the thumb on the pattern and cut out a nice big hole. Ideally, with the thumb hole, there's access to the first web space. So when a patient puts this splint on and they're stretching their web space, they can get inside and do some scar massage while stretching. So this is the first part of the splint. The second part of the splint is the bar, and I'll show you that on the actual model. The splint material type we've been using is EasyForm because EasyForm sticks to itself. So we've been able to use extra splinting material that's cutoffs that are kind of too thin to do anything with. We've been using for the bar section. So we'll bring in the model here and show you real quick. So we have our splint. There's a strap for the index finger, strap for the wrist, strap for the forearm. That secures the splint in place very well. There's a nice large cutout, so when it's on the patient, they can do the massaging. And that's our bar. This is this more EasyForm material. I like to take about 2 to 3 inches of the length that we need and roll it up really tight, smush it together, it makes it really sturdy. Then I heat the splint itself, I heat the end of the material of the post, and I smush it together. You hold it real firm. Sometimes I take the cutout, if you save this cutout, you can use it as a collar to give this more security. You can wrap the collar around and melt that in with a heat gun real tight, and really stick it. I've never had one pop off through use with a patient before, and I've made several of these that have had a lot of use. So there's the splint. We'll put it back on. It should be nice and secure. And then ideally, this could even be cut up a little taller to have more web space access for massaging. I rivet a loop, and this would be the more expensive elastic strapping. This is just standard strapping for the example. There's just plastic rivets I put in. That loop goes on their thumb, so it's nice and secure. The strap goes around the post. I have a loose piece of Velcro I just fold on itself. This is just sticky back to hard Velcro. And then the patient would pull it tight. The patient would pull it tight around the post and then stick it where there's a good stretch on the web space. And then we've modified this splint for the post. Sometimes you can put the post more on the volar side if they're radial or palmar abduction, depending on what the patient feels gives them the best stretch. You can adjust where the post is to find the angle you want. I've also done it where instead of a straight post, I've done like a horseshoe or a rainbow, like a semicircle post that comes up and then reattaches, and the patient can slide it so they can change the angle of pull every time they use it, depending on where they want it. That's another option. And then over time, they can just pull the strap tighter and tighter to gain more stretch, more range of motion without changing the splint itself.